how's that working?
We got the people's wisdom. Yeah, we carry that flame. Truth in the streets, not the soothing mind.
Egyptians don't live in a tower of stone. It lives in the hearts of the folks back home. Hey, we got the people's wisdom, people's rhythm, people's system. Yeah, the truth hits hard when the whole crowd listens.
Granddad taught me on the porch, swing slow. Some real justice is the things you know. A handshake deal, a promise kept tight. Wrong feels wrong and right feels right. Ain't no statue gonna tell me what's fair. I see the truth standing right over there. Common law roots like the oak tree strong. Been holding up folks for 100 years long.
Ooh, we don't need a crown or a robe or a throne. We judge by the heart, not the words carved in stone.
We got the people's wisdom. Yeah, we carry that flame.
Truth in the streets, not the suits with a name. Justice don't live in a tower of stone. It lies in the hearts of the folks back home. Hey, we got the people's wisdom, people's rhythm, people's system. Yeah, the truth hits hard when the whole crowd listens. Mama said, girl, let your voice ring clear. Truth don't whisper when the people draw near. We settle things fair with the look in the eye. Not a stack of laws stacked up to the sky.
Got that hip-hop snap with a country town sway. Baseline jumping like a horse in the hay. Common sense, justice in the way that we play. If it harms somebody, then it ain't our way. We don't need roads to know what's right.
We don't need courts to see the light.
We got the people's wisdom.
We got the people's wisdom. Shining bright. We got the people's wisdom. Yeah, we carry that flame. Truth in the streets, not the suits with a name. Justice don't live in a tower of stone. It lives in the hearts of the folks back home. Hey, we got the people's wisdom, people's rhythm, people's system. Yeah, the truth hits hard when the whole crowd listens.
Welcome to the War Room. How's everybody doing tonight? It is December 30th, 2025. Allegedly, all right? We don't know what year it is. But we're here, and we are grateful to be here. Glad to have everybody here with us. We got Nadine with us tonight.
Hello.
How you doing, Nadine?
She
How's the-
will be on. Well, it's running a little late.
How's the weather in New York, Nadine?
Oh, it's freezing. It's 20, but it's windy. And
Oh, that ain't nothing.
Governor Hochul says that everybody should take Mondays off from now on because of the weather.
Right?
It's because
Wow.
they put out those nasty scare tactics on Sunday night, and then it's ridiculous. I mean, it is really cold here, but they were painting the skies like it would be a blue sky, and then all of a sudden they come through and paint it, and then it turns cloudy and nasty. So somebody better stop something.
Yeah, I went outside yesterday, or was it today? I can't remember. I think it was yesterday. It started sprinkling, but it was pellets,
Like ice,
like little pellets.
like ice rain.
Mhm.
Yeah, the snow, the first day it snowed here a few days ago, it was the snow was breaking apart when it would hit the ground.
Yeah, it wasn't even cold enough here to even for anything to even be frozen. Man, I guess up high, they must be making it freeze. Because when it hit the windshield like a little pellet, tick, 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 like sand hitting the window, like little tick tick. And you hear the tapping when it hits the windshield come up from and then it would just melt or disappear or whatever. But you could hear I was like, wow, it's like 50 or 60 degrees outside. Where's all this coming from? But anyways, the day in the life. But glad to have everybody here. Hope everybody's staying warm, safe. If it's not warm, hang in there. It'll be warm tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Or if it's not cold, hang in there. It'll be cold tomorrow.
The weather's unpredictable, just like everything else that's going on.
There we go. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Got a few things, a few laws, a few things. The H power is gaining ground. The HOA is gaining ground in the different states.
So let me show this video. So, because
Right.
if you watched if you were on the live chat this morning, there's a kind of something that will make you feel better. I'll send it to you.
Oh, you got something to make us feel better?
Well, that there is people working behind the scenes. So
Oh, I like some opium. I ain't.
yeah. I mean, for what the thing you played about Texas and all this shenanigans they're trying to do with the laws. So I sent it at the bottom. Go ahead.
All right, some of the earbud technology. Apple recently filed a patent number, right? US 202-302-25659 Alpha 1. The new earbuds described in the patent will allow Apple to read your brainwaves.
Yeah.
I need this. I was kind of like, man, because it's like when you ask your lady what does she want to eat, and then she doesn't answer, and you're like, I can't read your mind. Will this help a man out in figuring out what a woman wants moving forward, or how to read a woman's mind, or what? Is this
No.
going to be it, or what? How's this working, Nadine? Do you know?
Never going to happen that you're going to be able to read our minds.
Shit.
They change too often.
Well, somebody's going to be reading your minds. God bless their soul.
Yeah, there's also a bunch of new laws coming up in different states to prevent data collecting, like they've been doing. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, they're going to be data collecting.
Right.
So earbuds are designed and patented by Apple to literally read your brainwaves, record your brainwaves, and you're not going to believe what these guys have to do with these.
Yeah. Just don't get the Apple earbuds.
Check this out, right? This patent is for a biosignal sensing device using dynamic selection and electrodes. This is absolutely Apple. It is 2023, and it's not, and it gets not good. It gets not good. What? Who wrote that?
Literally read your US 202-3022-56559A1. That is earbuds that are designed and patented by Apple to literally read your brainwaves, record your brainwaves. Did you know that? Holy smokes. You're not going to believe what these guys have the control to do with these. Check this out. The patent is for a biosignal sensing device using dynamic selection of electrodes. This is absolutely Apple. It is 2023 and it gets not good. Brain activity can be monitored using electrodes placed on the scalp of a user. The electrodes may in some case be placed inside or around the outer ear of the user. Measuring the brain activity using electrodes placed in and around the outer ear may be preferred due to benefits such as reduced device mobility and decreased visibility of the electrodes when compared to other devices. And it goes on and on. And look, it says for accurate measurement of brain activity using an ear electroencephalography, oh my God, ear electroencephalography, EEG device, the ear EEG device may need to be customized for the user's ear. So it's talking about different sizes, and it gets worse.
It's worse.
It's almost like everyone's a conspiracy theorist all of a sudden. Like, did we take a turn where like everything that all the conspiracy theories are coming true, or like all the things that people were?
Yeah,
It's like a sci-fi movie.
They weren't. It was a million.
It's a sci-fi.
Before it was proven to be true.
What sci-fi movie is this? Are we in? I know there's several
There's a
different movies,
bunch. We're like in a bunch of movies.
right? But if this works on, if this could help out men reading their wives' minds, this would be great technology to have moving forward, as long as it's in the man's hands, and we can make sure that, like, because we can't read minds.
Right.
Here we go. Moving on to, all right. So 2025 was the year of the first man. All right, I'll just not do this one. All
Wait
right,
a
here's
minute.
what.
I thought you were gonna play that.
Okay, go ahead and play it.
Well, 2020. All right, let me set it up. All right, so it's a lot of crazy things happen in 2025. We can agree, right? But have you ever seen a man kick himself in the balls before?
No, no,
Ever?
and I'd like to see it.
Well, it happened in 2025.
I didn't see it.
I've never seen a man be able to kick himself in the balls before, but we're fixing to see that happen here. And it's almost a sign of things to come with technology. But let's go ahead and let's see what's going on here. This is a little jujitsu. It's like Jewish martial arts, jujitsu. All right, so that was that's technology. That's what's going to happen, right? Just like Terminator, where it all AI turns on them, and
Yeah. I mean, it just did right there.
it even bent over when he bent over. That's what was even crazier.
Can you use a flamethrower against those
This was
robots?
impressive. I was impressed by the.
A flamethrower against
Yeah.
rabbit.
I mean, how do you combat a robot? You got to use a flamethrower, right?
Mm-mm.
Well, what was that military training? They used cardboard box.
Go look up the video. It's
Blocked it.
U.S. Marines beat DARPA's robot.
Yeah,
They outsmarted it
using a cardboard box.
using boxes and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, like hide in the shell, like shell game, except for you're a person inside the box and it can't identify you.
Nice.
Something like that. We'll have to get that video.
Well, that way I'm not in charge of a flamethrower. You know what I mean? It's better.
Right.
This is for everyone out there. This was 2025 rolling into 2026. Well, it really not, but
On the
we're gonna
couch. Oh,
pretend like
and
it's
you're up.
for tonight's show for educational purposes
Well,
only.
really, actually, that's when you start making your plans. But then you're supposed to start doing in March when the real New Year's is, right? March 21st, spring out equinox. That's when things, if you started, then it's more likely to come into fruition. But you can start planning.
Well, here's some people's plans for 2026. Y'all ready?
Oh,
What y'all think about that?
no, I don't think we'll be doing that. Hopefully not.
Everybody's gonna be dead.
We might not have that luxury.
I usually don't make it to New Year's. I'm usually past home. I usually always sleep. What wakes me up is a damn war zone you hear outside.
Oh, I know.
It gets obnoxious.
Yeah, it does.
I'm like, damn, I didn't know people had that much money for fireworks around here.
Right? Right.
You don't know until like it's like a test of the economy to me. Like you can tell how good the economy is by how loud it gets on New Year's.
Yeah, because they're not cheap.
Okay. All right, so we had 92 people have been arrested in conjunction with the fraud in Minnesota, right? So they've been investigating and prosecuting since 2014.
Hmm.
But you don't know this, MAGA, because some people live in an echo chamber. All right.
Right, like that's what I was talking about in the chat this morning. They've been doing these the for the fraud, and then in 2018, 19 during COVID is when a lot of that was already taken care of.
Daycare or not.
This is my office where I make news videos.
Did you see the report from Nick Shirley about the Somali daycares in Minnesota?
Yes, he posted a 42-minute video, which I watched so that you don't have to.
He's the only person out here doing real journalism.
Hello, Mr. Vice President. Yes, I saw that you posted that. Great work, sir. So, yes, since 2018, more than half of $18 billion in taxpayer funds spent on the 14 programs intended to help low-income, vulnerable people was most likely stolen.
And there it is.
But this has been under investigation for a long time. More than 92 people have been charged.
Well, how come we haven't seen it in the news?
Local and international outlets have been reporting on it for years. This is a Times article from 2022.
But Representative Omar did nothing about this.
That same year, she condemned the fraud that was happening. And in 2019, this article was written about the statewide audit of the fraud. Finally, here's a local article from 2018 that says that Minnesota has been aggressively investigating daycare fraud since 2014.
But what about how they're funneling all the money to terrorists?
Look, there is clearly fraud happening here. But that terrorist allegation was made by a police detective from Seattle who retired in 2015 and has never been to Minnesota.
Oh, well, what about the other daycares in the video? I didn't see any kids.
Some of those daycares could have been committing fraud. But would you let a complete stranger flanked by his security team and his camera crew into your daycare to see the children? And I don't know when he filmed this, but my daughter's daycare is closed for the last 2 weeks of December. I'm glad you care about kids, though.
Of course.
Have you seen the latest Epstein file dump from 3 days before Christmas?
No, I don't think so.
It's not important.
In new documents, an unnamed victim alleges that both Trump and Epstein raped her, and that Trump traveled on Epstein's plane at least 8 times in the 90s. But last year, he said he was never on Epstein's plane.
You should go check for more daycare fraud. Okay. Is this a daycare?
All right. So you see how the misdirection and stuff takes place. Quick, find a story. Daycare fraud. That'll work. Who's it involved? Oh, Somalians. Oh, even better.
Right.
Like,
If it's not the Somalians, it's somebody else, and somebody else, and somebody else.
yeah,
Right?
eventually you're gonna run out of some people to hate.
Right.
And then you're gonna have everyone looking at you going, or to blame, right? Right. But some people, you know, have medical conditions, you know, and we just want to be mindful of that going into the new year. So if you see anybody with this medical condition, please help them out and toss them a beer.
Why do you drink so many beers? I have to remind folks that I have a really rare genetic condition where my body doesn't produce its own beer, so I have to take supplements every day. A few beers a day isn't for everyone, so please check with your physician before being prescribed. People always ask me, Bryce, why do you drink so many beers?
It's like a big pharma commercial, huh? With even the music. You hear the...
I have to remind folks that I have a really rare genetic condition where...
You know, it always shows somebody walking, smiling with their dog and the sun, clear blue skies, no chemtrails. What kind of fantasy land is this? I see clear blue skies here. This has got to be AI.
Where my body doesn't produce its own beer.
Some people's bodies don't produce its own beer, right?
So I have to take supplements every day.
So he's definitely got to take supplements here. He's got to kick a tire here on a tractor that ain't ran in years.
A few beers a day isn't for everyone, so please check with your physician.
It's called few beers a day. All right. Check with your physician. All right, power to the people. Power comes from the people, right? And here's another example of that being exercised here on the world stage. Hey, not all heroes wear capes.
We have got statutes, and I've talked to y'all about that violate the Constitution of our state. I've asked you to remove it. Has it been removed? Has it been altered? I haven't heard no response back. Article 1, Section 1 of our Constitution guarantees that I'm in control of my life, my liberty, the fruits of my labor, and my pursuit of happiness. That's the first law of this state. The fruits of my labor covers every bit of the money I got, every property I own, that's mine. If I don't do damage to nobody, I'm the one in authority of it. How are you overriding that? Where's this authority come from? I've lost hope and faith in the political parties. I've lost hope and faith in the North Carolina State Bar. When you sit here and you write legislation that's in violation of the Constitution to overthrow the Constitution, boys, that's dangerous. The Constitution is set up to keep the limits of government. Where we go? How we do that? If the government no longer recognizes the Article 1 of our Constitution that sets the limits, what is the limit? Who sets the limits? It was there to keep people in check. Who's keeping it in check? Now, the government just ignores me when I come before. I have come before several times over the years and told them before this council, many members passed before y'all, and told them that our scripture is the one that gives us our rights. And our Constitution honors all God-given rights. But when government no longer honors these rights, then it's time to dissolve the government. And that authority is given to us too. We have the right to regulate the internal government and the police thereof. The government is under the authority of the people. All political power comes from the people. The people is sovereign. It's not the government, it's the people. And when the government no longer listens to us, we got representatives in Raleigh in the past years, and I'm hoping it improves. But you call them and you tell them and you give them papers to present it before the General Assembly, and then they refuse. That's insubordination. How do you hold your office after that? How do you hold them accountable? When they refuse to do their duty, and the whole purpose was to represent me. And then they have to ask permission before the General Assembly to see if they could even go. Where's that coming from? I believe the Constitution says we have a right to assemble together and instruct our representatives to take it before the General Assembly. That's the law. So when the law of our land is no longer honored, where do we go? What do we stand on? Is it a land of laws or not? When the government no longer obeys the laws, then they're criminals. You see that? They're criminals. The Constitution of this state is the law. Statutes and ordinance is limited to the Constitution. It must first obey with what the Constitution says. It must recognize the authority of the people. And it is limited to the area in which it has any authority. But when we throw these safeguards away, what is it? What do we do then? Where do we go? Like even the council here, before the commissioners, says y'all won't speak in open session. Why you got to hide? Really? When we're here to instruct y'all and you won't commit to saying something, plead the fifth if you want to. But you need to be addressed. When the people has the right to instruct you on what you need to do, you need to answer. Because you're under the authority of the people. And you can't write statutes to overthrow the people's right to instruct their government. And that's what's happening. And the sad part is law enforcement is put in the middle. When they enforce an ordinance that's against the Constitution, and then the people stand on the right to defend their life, liberty, and property, who's at risk? You put everybody at risk by doing that. Because the people's got the right to defend their life, their liberty, and their property. But yet the law enforcement is trying to do their job to enforce something that y'all never had a right to write in the first place. Where do we stand? You see what?
So you see the situation that they created here. They put people in a rock and a hard place where their statutes and ordinances don't trump the Constitution, yet they put law enforcement in as the middleman to enforce those unconstitutional statutes and ordinances, trying to take the power from the people, but the people have the authority over the government, not vice versa. But we've been brainwashed for decades here to quite the opposite, right? With all this propaganda and U.S. flag code violations, they're taking a U.S. flag and turning them into banners of enslavement with the blue line on it. All right. So here we are in history. Beautiful time to be alive. I've always wondered what it was like to be in that time of history where the people take their power back, and here we are. And it's really beautiful to witness. And I'm just grateful to be alive and be able to see this for what it is. And I see what's coming, and I hope everyone else does too. All right.
Whose channel is that?
That was a clip from, and I'll share it out. All for Freedom. You can go there. Go to All for Freedom's
We got
YouTube,
God
X,
statues.
and they got all kinds of constitutional republic content.
Thank you.
Yep. So that's at Skills SKILLZ 17Q. Right. Here's the page right here. Thank you for asking, Nadine.
Yeah, I try to grab all of your different channels that you have as we go, if I don't have them.
Yeah, what I do is I go down through X and I create my own algorithm I just follow people sharing the truth, man. And then I just hit follow, and then over time it pays off because then you get this good content, right? Versus what X wants you to see, which sometimes they override what you want to see. They override it depending on what the psyop is. Like Somalians yesterday was nothing but Somalia, Nick Shirley across the damn X all feeds. So I was like, oh, okay. But anyways, the point is um, follow the channels that are spreading the truth. Like, come over here, click follow. Like this, I just hit follow, like unfollow, whatever. It, I've had to unfollow a few people throughout this time, right?
Oh, I definitely did.
Yeah, I couldn't, I got tired of seeing this stuff they post. So it's kind of customizes your feed, so to speak, the best that you can. Um,
There is no left anymore. They're all run by the same globalists. You have to see that. You have to see that right now, right here, right now. There's no left. There's no right. There's no voting our way out of it. There's no making sure we vote for conservatism, because if we don't, the left is going to take over and it's going to get all crazy again. Do you not understand? There is no left. Why do you think Netanyahu was the very first world leader to come out and congratulate Joe Biden on his win in 2020? Because he controlled it then too. There's no left. My full chest, and tell you there's no left, there's no right. There's no conservative that's going to save you. There's nobody from the left that understands you, that wants equality. We've been infiltrated on both parties, and until every single person out there sees that and understands that it's being run by the same globalists, nothing will change. Nothing will change. There's no left. There's no right. The Democrats are not my enemy. The liberal kids who dye their hair and scream about equality, they're kids. They're immature. They don't get it yet. They will get it in time. That's what I keep telling my kid when he starts to kind of lean into, well, he just doesn't like black. No, nobody hates black people. Nobody hates white people. Being trained, and your algorithm, you're being trained to keep that division going because they're putting out the loudest voices. Most normal, everyday people don't give a fuck what color you are. Most normal, everyday black people aren't demanding reparation. It's orchestrated. It's fake. None of it's real, right down to George Floyd and COVID-19. Until you see that, until you recognize it, until you feel it in your bones, nothing is going to change. Nothing. Keep feeding the machine. I need you to see it. I need you to see it. I need you to believe it. And then I need you to join us, because I don't know what the outcome is going to be, but it isn't doing more of this. The definition of hell is doing the same thing over and over and over again. And if that the Republicans have full control of everything and nothing has changed. It's only been the Democrats impeached, and it's also they did more in that first year than the Republicans have done yet in their first year. Please wake up. I'm begging you to see it. I'm begging you to see it at this point.
yeah, people are begging people, please wake up.
Right.
Right. So that's from what some people would consider right wing, right? Right. But she's waking up, going center. Right. So I want to show the same I want to show another example of someone on the left. And let's see what we get here.
I'm slowly coming to the realization that we are the generation that has to do something, and it's one of the most difficult realizations to accept. All throughout history, we've learned and watched some of the worst atrocities be handled by groups of people who had to stand up and do something about it. And I think we've been conditioned to be more comfortable observing from a distance than getting rid of our discomfort. Whether you are pro-life or pro-choice or pro-Second Amendment or anti-guns or religious or atheist, we are living in an era where we have to behave differently right now. We've grown up reading about all of these revolutions and all of these stories of these people fighting back against power. We've watched these movies and TV shows telling these great stories about these heroes that got together and fought the odds. And I think we are unfortunately living in the generation that has to be the people who do that. Because every single day we are witnessing more and more evil come out from its hiding place. And I know it's so easy to just hope and wait for someone else to be the first one to do something, but I honestly don't think that we have much time. We're living in an age where we can organize groups of people and communicate with strangers across the world instantly. And I don't know what needs to be done. I don't know how to even begin doing what needs to be done, but I'm willing to try and at least get people together so we can figure it out. Because at the end of the day, I have so much more in common with the pro-life, pro-Second Amendment Christian that lives next door to me than I ever will with the top 1% multi-billionaires of the world. So aside from all of these social issues that we could debate on endlessly, leave a comment and just let me know that I'm not the only one realizing this, because it's honestly a very isolating feeling when just walking around.
And there you go. So you see the genius in this whole thing process, right? Bringing people out of their comfort zones and the two-party system trance, right? Realizing that it's the people that have to make the change, and not the politicians that, you know. Like I tell people, it's kind of like the psyop, kind of like with Hogan. Y'all remember Hogan back in the 80s? He was like the real American hero, right? Red, flag in the back, patriot, right? This is like the equivalent of Trump in 2016, right? Coming down the escalator, super patriot, boom, boom, boom. And then it's like, boom, you get the different version of Hogan, right? Character swap, kind of like wrestling. He goes from the hero to the villain, and then he can go back and forth, right? Playing both sides, just like Elvis talked about. Every man has his dark star.
Yeah, it's true.
Trump 2016. Trump 2026. It's like, it's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out. It's just a vibe, honestly. Give me 1 second. Load that. Hit that screen. There we go. And some of these we went over this morning, but we're going to do it tonight.
A friend like President Trump. I'll say it again and again and again. We've never had a friend like President Trump in the White House. It's not even close. I think Israel is very blessed to have President Trump leading the United States, and I'll say leading the free world at this time.
So let's start out with Benjamin Netanyahu's motorcade, which is about 2 times bigger than the Trump motorcade. I guess we should probably cover this event because the king The king is in town, the real president of the United States. King Edward appears to be giving his marching orders to the leper, Robert the Bruce's dad, who ends up betraying all of Scotland and William Wallace, aka America, and freedom lovers like you and I.
Does anybody recognize this man? Not too many people. They've been very fair, actually.
Yeah, we know who he is.
Yeah, do you recognize him? Because that's 2.0, right?
Oh yeah. Look at the
Does anybody
belly.
recognize him? Like, does he look familiar?
Does anybody recognize this man? Not too many people. They've been very fair, actually.
Yeah, we know who he is. Yeah, it's kind of like the wanted poster. We recognize him, President Trump. And now here's the marching orders of what the king wants us to do to Iran.
You support an attack, Israeli attack on Iran if Iran will not have a deal. If Iran will continue with their ballistic missiles and also nuclear weapons.
If they will continue with the missiles, yes. The nuclear, fast.
And here's where Trump appears to be complaining to Benjamin Netanyahu that he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, and then quickly realizes that the media is filming and then tells him to go outside.
5 years of fighting, and they stopped. Do I get credit for it? No. They gave me. I did 8 of them. India. How about India and Pakistan? And then so I did 8 of them, and then I'll tell you the rest of it. How are you doing? Okay. You gonna all be outside? The beautiful.
I was just
sun?
wondering if I can get some bread and milk, please. I'm hungry out here, guys. I'm just trying to make ends meet. Is there any? Y'all think y'all can give me $1? Maybe $5? Hey Trump, you think I can borrow $5 real quick? Oh, excuse me, guys. I didn't know y'all were in the middle of a meeting.
Don't you find it interesting that it's Netanyahu that needs to be petitioned to get a Nobel Peace Prize for a nobleman? Weird. Now here's Trump saying that the president of Israel needs to pardon Benjamin Netanyahu for all of his crimes.
A pardon? I think you will. How do you not? He's a wartime prime minister who's a hero. How do you not give a pardon? You know, I think it's a very hard thing not to do it.
But Eric, what can we actually do about it? Why do you do these videos if there's nothing that we can do about it? Well, we can get our guts ripped out and keep our souls in the process. We can at least do that.
Oh, that's my favorite part of the movie. All right, I've been waiting for that scene to come up.
Right. That's a good one.
Freedom. All right, everyone's screaming freedom.
Stopped. Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year. It could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly. They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb. Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear...
2 freaking different guys. Right there. Sheepdog, are you talking?
There we go. Yeah, you're right. I don't know if I was muted the whole time. Did you hear me say anything when you commented, lady?
No, I was waiting and
Oh, well, we were having a conversation here with you. Sorry, yeah.
I said
yeah,
that's
I almost
Yeah, let's
spit my
play it.
gum out when he was like, "It's coming in the next 2 weeks." I was
In 2 weeks, folks, they're going to be planning nuclear.
That's why I said I think that's why Trump said, "Does anyone recognize him?" Right?
Right, 2.0.
The same.
Yeah. So see right there. I mean, is that the same?
Yeah, it's crazy how it's the voice. With the voice and the basic image, it can totally trick people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just like we're doing right now.
Yeah, I'm really sheepdog and he's an AD.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up. Um,
I'll
Here, let me play more. Look, it's called the Great Noticing, right? For a reason. People noticing little things here and there.
I'll send it to you. There you go. That's funny.
See how it's different? See that? I mean, I know this is 2006, but it's just
People don't change that much. I mean, it could be one of those Kardashian things, like go to the operation room every once a month.
Come out looking totally different.
Is my butt big enough yet?
Right. Oh my gosh. That's funny.
yeah. So there's that 2006. We'll leave it there too.
Yeah, that's totally. Oh, these people, villains. Yeah, they probably have their own award show, like for the best villain, portraying. I don't know, like the best 20-year-old portraying a 110-year-old man trying to kill everybody.
Yeah, the women are waking up. So these women are far more courageous than most men today, but Ben Shapiro is an Israeli agent. Right. So we're going to see what.
So Ben Shapiro, you fuck. Who the fuck do you think you are telling us if we can't afford to live in the city where we were raised that we should just fucking leave? Why don't you fucking leave Palestine, bitch? And who the fuck are you to say that we shouldn't be able to retire at 65? Are you fucking kidding me? We pay into Social Security our whole life. No, you want to steal that fucking money for Israel and make us slaves. You want us to die working and do a 50-year fucking mortgage so you bitches can fucking bomb Iran. Go fuck yourself, Ben Shapiro. Go fuck yourself. Free Palestine. So Ben Shapiro, you
Oh no. Sheepdog, who was that posted that one? I can't unmute you when you mute yourself.
The bomb. Like, is this? We talked about this morning. It's just weird, ain't it? Is this AI? Is this like it's like an AI video? Somebody. It just feels like satire. Is this real? Did he really hold that up? and explain that?
Depends on if it's the blue tie or red tie guy, right?
I mean, who was he talking to? Congress? Are they
I
retarded?
don't
I mean, what the hell are we doing?
That's probably the United Nations, isn't it? Isn't that the kind of backdrop?
This is like a bomb that you see on like Cartoon Network.
Bugs Bunny. A road bug.
This is the bomb. You see it right here? This is 20% reason more why we have to drop this bomb. Hey, I've been, coming from the military and having some experience in ordnance. That would have been the quickest class I've ever attended to talk about ordnance and missiles and bombs and stuff like that. That would have been the fastest. I wish he was my teacher, my instructor at Pensacola. Holy shit. It's crazy. He's got the files right here. Look, he's got Iran's secret nuclear files. If he's
They
got
didn't even black
Iran's
it out.
secret nuclear files, what other files do you think he has? It's a good movie. It really is. Shit's entertaining as shit, knowing it's fake.
We had to bomb Iran now.
We're going to show you Iran's secret nuclear files.
Oh, awesome.
Here's the warhead.
Yep.
Here's the bomb.
Oh.
And that's from 2018. I don't know if Iran is any closer to having a bomb, but it is clear Israel now has the capacity to enrich their...
Here's your sign, right? Right. Oh, do you want me to plug that at the bottom? So let's send it. I try clicking on it, but it says channel not found. See, that's gone. Yeah, that's gone now. You'll have to. Already.
The right to charge us for water and land they didn't create. We should not be paying anything for our existence on this earth. Let that sink in. Let it scrape against. Who gave them the right to charge us for water and land they didn't create? We should not be paying anything for our existence on this earth. Let that sink in. Let it scrape against everything that you've been taught. Because the most insane idea humanity ever normalized is that you owe money simply for being alive. You were born here without consent on a planet you did not create, under a sky that no government ever hung, breathing air that no corporation manufactured, and somehow you start life already in debt. That's not normal. That's not moral. That is not even sane. Explain to me how land became owned. Explain how water became a bill. Explain how shelter became rent, movement became a license, and rest became something you have to earn after selling most of your waking hours. They didn't just monetize labor. They monetize survival. And the moment survival has a price tag, freedom is gone. Because if you must comply to be allowed to live, that is not choice. That is coercion, wearing a suit and calling itself civilization. And don't insult people by calling this just how the world works. That phrase is the psychological gag they stuff in your mouth before they tighten the leash. Miss enough payments and watch how fast the mask drops. They don't just take your house. They don't just shut off your utilities. They take your mobility. They take your dignity. They cage your body, all because you failed to keep up with the subscription fee for being alive. That's not order. That is a threat backed by force. Work itself is not the enemy. Contribution is natural. Humans have always built, always grown, always created, and always shared. What is evil is when contribution stops being voluntary and becomes a condition for survival. What is evil is when fear of hunger, homelessness, and medical neglect is used as the whip. And that fear is not accidental. It's engineered. It keeps you obedient, tired, and arguing with your neighbor instead of questioning the system that's draining you dry. No moral system, none, can justify charging human beings for access to the earth they were born on. If a system requires you to earn the right to exist, then that system is illegitimate at its core. And if hearing this makes you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is the sound of a lie cracking. You're not lazy for questioning this. You're not crazy for feeling it's wrong. You're dangerous because you're starting to realize the truth. You were never meant to pay for your own existence. Thanks for listening and subscribe for more.
What a
That'll
nice
be $5 for listening, guys. Did y'all
That-
just get $5?
That's a nice man.
You know, that's charging.
Yeah, see,
Here we
too many
go.
people don't.
Hey.
The people that need to see that kind of stuff, they won't click on it like right now. They can't even hear him.
So speaking of paying for your own existence, we have a little video here. The 23. This is hold on. So this is talking. This is the $23 trillion property scam that will bankrupt America. This is for entertainment purposes only, educational.
Right, because we were talking about, well, here in
This
Texas,
is from
the taxes, they're going to make the taxes, the value of the taxes so high, but they're calling out the scam of the CAD is pricing it what they want it to be priced at instead of what it should actually be. So it looks like a lot of stuff's going to come out of there. There's lawsuits already being filed. So
all right. Anything else on this before we play?
Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the show. Joining us today.
This is from ITM Trading Inc. on YouTube. Click like and subscribe.
Hey, Mitch Wexler. He's a seasoned commercial real estate developer and president of Mockingbird Properties. And he has just put out a hard-hitting new piece entitled What Do We Know and What We Are Facing? He lays out 50 major issues that he says prove America is already deep into an economic crisis, far beyond what the Fed and the press are admitting. From the $2 trillion commercial real estate maturity wall and trillions in impaired bank loans to fraudulent school district bonds, exploding property taxes, surging national debt, and the real threat of de-dollarization. He is calling this nothing short of a looming credit crisis and potential depression. This is a conversation every American needs to hear. Mitch Wexler, welcome back to the program, sir. Nice to see you, Mitch.
Very nice to see you. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for allowing me to expose all this, because these problems have got to be talked about between the states and the Federal Reserve, and that is where this is headed. This is 2007, 2008, magnified multiple times over.
Well, it was so important for me to get you on because 2025 was the year I was introduced to you and your work, and I uncovered everything you've been doing. So you have been one of the greatest stories of my journalistic career, Mitch. And I want to go through this manifesto and everything you've been uncovering throughout the years here. But we have some breaking news to address. And I want to get your view on Attorney General Ken Paxton's sweeping probe into nearly 1,000 cities' finances under the new SB 1851 transparency law. Could this finally hold local governments accountable and curb runaway tax hikes? And this is really thanks to all the work you've been doing. Is this the light at the end of the tunnel?
No, it's not the light at the end of the tunnel. It's the start of people waking up and realizing what the problem is. And as I said, it's not a personal issue between me or anybody at the executive branch, but criminal complaints were filed, and these things have teeth. And over and above that, we filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the Attorney General's office, and it was 15 pages in length. And the response at that time was, well, we're not the repository of the documents. Well, that's a de facto admission of guilt, because the Attorney General's office is the sole signator to ensure that the money is available to pay for the bonds. And it is not. The median household income, as we have proven on my website, all the documents are there. The median household income doesn't exist to pay this off.
I actually wanted to pull up something on that point. I sent you a screenshot. Household debt. I mean, this is global debt. but 64 trillion. I mean, I can't believe the numbers here, Mitch.
You can slice this a myriad of ways. So on our website, we broke it down looking at the median household income, A in Denton County,
Yeah.
B across the United States.
Right.
And you can blame it and say, well, credit cards are 24 or 30% interest on the credit
Right.
cards. But here's the underlying point. It's even that's not relevant because the bottom line is you've got 37.8% of the household population, give or take, in harm's way of bankruptcy and or foreclosure. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because not only are you putting them in harm's way of foreclosure and bankruptcy, but you've equity stripped the money straight out of their mortgages in favor of the property tax, which is covering up the fraud. The entire system is going to come down because the money, the base money, the median household income, which is all that matters, all this other nonsense, well, this is overcharged or this is inflation or this is this, it all adds to the inflation, but nothing takes away from the denominator, which is the median household income. You measure it by what is a property really worth? What's a house truly worth? Well, it's not the appraised value that they told you it was worth. That's clearly been proven as fraud. That's not the value of what you bought. The value of what you bought is whatever a willing buyer and willing seller are willing to agree to, minus the second mortgage that most people don't even know exists in the form of the school district bonds.
Right.
That's on every
Right.
single
It's
house.
a second mortgage. It
It's
is a second mortgage.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
that's the problem.
And to your point, not to digress, but there's been so many videos circulating now about people who were supposed to be retired, to your point, Mitch, forced to go back to work. And there was one silver lining story of a man who was, I don't know if he was working at Walmart. He was a retired vet, forced to work. And, some good Samaritan social media star helped raise, over $1 million for him because he doesn't have money to retire. And unfortunately, yes, he got that happy ending, but how many people are living that reality today in America, Mitch?
Okay. Right now, today, the property values have gone up just over a period of time. So let's talk about 2024, 23 trillion in property overvaluation, from which has been spun the school district bond fraud at 5.1 trillion, from which in 2024 alone, give or take, they stole 450 billion. That's not the tax. That's the overage, the fraud component of the property tax. That's the answer to your question. This is touching everybody. If these school districts are raising bonds, there's a high probability they're involved in accounting fraud and bond fraud, because the truth of the matter is the central appraisal districts are not adhering to any law whatsoever. So on my website, there's a document called violations.pdf.
Yep.
And when you look at that document, that tells you pretty much all the states and federal laws that are being violated straight across the board. And that comes back to your question about Attorney General Paxton. Clearly, they're beginning to get the message. There's actually a message in there straight to me. So they're communicating through their own documents. And I'm communicating through the DOJ, the FBI, and the SEC. It's all good. But what I offered Attorney General Paxton, because as I said, it's not a personal issue. My accountant and I are more than willing to sit down and give them every single document face to face, walk them through the spreadsheets, walk them through cell by cell, because otherwise they're going to twist around and try to figure out what to do. And there's no reason to spend or waste the time. We've got the evidence. What we have on the website is not up for debate. It's irrefutable.
Why doesn't he want to hear it?
This is going to be a tough pill for an awful lot of people to swallow. But if you think about what happened in 2007, why did the Federal Reserve have to get involved with regard to the mortgage-backed securities? That is the same problem we've got right now, except this is Lord knows how many times bigger. And there isn't going to be there is no other choice, right? The property taxes are going to have to be repealed en masse in favor of the uniform states, that's multiple states, STATES, multiple states sales tax, because that is the only method of transparency. You can't have somebody being subjective in some CAD somewhere saying, well, yeah, I think that $200,000 house is really worth $1 million. Pay me the tax on the $1 million. And it doesn't matter where you are, right? You could look at the Palisades in California, where the outstanding school district bond debt, give or take, because I've seen it, is hovering somewhere around 1.3 million per house. It's impossible. Argyle, Texas, give or take 283,000 per house. Never mind the fact that in the Palisades, 57 some odd hundred properties burnt to the ground. The taxes can't be paid.
Exactly.
They're beyond bankrupt. So you can take a horrific situation like that, or you can take a poor community like Godly, Texas, that in terms of demographics, it's the same math, because it turns out that 70% of the value of the outstanding compound cumulative effect of the bond fraud is what is determined from the value of the property. So if you say in Godly, Texas, that the value of a property is 160 grand, well, isn't it interesting that the outstanding compound cumulative interest plus the bond fraud, give or take, is about 120 grand per house? This is beyond a second mortgage. They violated every law under the debt to income ratio. They violated USPAP. The software that's being used at the Central Appraisal District is just straight up fraud. It's got more holes in it than a strainer. When somebody can say, which by the way is on tape and it's on the website, Don Spencer, the chief appraiser at the Denton Central Appraisal District, stood up in front of the board and said, yes, we took, her name was Rebecca Townsend, who works for Mr. Spencer, 60,000 properties outside of the database, manipulated, their words, manipulated in Excel and put it back. Do you understand? This is beyond, this is not a state issue. This is full-blown federal crime.
Right.
It's called monkeying with government documents. This is go to jail stuff.
And we'll jump right back to the interview, but this is too important to skip. The real risk today isn't just a market crash or recession. It's the US dollar being reset, revalued, and losing all purchasing power. Prices keep rising. Tax system.
It's going to be Texas. It may actually be Arkansas. Arkansas is moving.
This 2026 initiative to eliminate property taxes on primary residences, shifting the burden to tourists and non-residents while capping assessment hikes to protect locals from skyrocketing values. Could this Florida first model, Mitch, finally inspire other states to dismantle their rigged tax system?
It's going to be Texas. It may actually be Arkansas. Arkansas is moving forward on a class action. It may be Florida. As we sit here this very second, it may be Florida. However, I believe there's a problem. And when Governor DeSantis came out and made that statement, this goes back probably 3 months ago, that he wanted to eliminate the property tax, I happen to know where that came from. And
okay,
I believe that half the statement, change that. I know that half the statement is missing. And that half of the statement is repeal the property tax in favor of the uniform states sales tax. I don't believe, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe mathematically that Florida can go it alone and say, we're just going to cut off the taxes and that's the end of the story. I believe you've got to have the sales tax, because this was never about eliminating the schools. This was about making the schools operate on a cash basis only, so that they would never, again in the history of the United States, have access to the bond market due to the crimes that they have committed. That's the price they pay. So
Mitch, wait, it's just replacing a tax with another tax is what your hunch is.
Right now, there's no person in the United States that is participating as a result of uniform standards of professional appraisal practice through this fraud that in truth owns their home. So what do we end up with? Well, we end up with repealing the real estate tax, which means that the property owners end up owning their real estate. In 30 years, when that real estate is paid off, you own it. It's your asset. Isn't it interesting that President Trump is now supporting and has come out for children, right? So we're going to put this money in an index fund so that in 30 years, the children have an index fund that's grown over that 30-year period. Well, how can you do that on the left hand and turn around on the right hand and literally equity strip that buildup of equity that people have been working on in favor of a tax going to a school district that is irrefutably bankrupt? There is no money to pay off these bonds and the compound cumulative interest. So the argument that I would make to the White House is, okay, you're doing it for the children, which is great. Amen. But look at what has happened. President Trump right now
Right.
is in
It's just, it's
Pennsylvania
not
discussing his economic plan on affordability. Well,
exactly. I want to bring that up because there's this whole other issue of affordability and the introduction of, they want to do a 50-year mortgage plan, but it's not fixing the problem.
that's the point. And more than likely, when Ken Paxton digs in, and we'll give him everything we've got, I'm more than happy to sit down eyeball to eyeball and say, here's the sell, here's this, here's this. We've already done this. Like, we're at the Supreme Court. So coming back to this issue of affordability, what could be more affordable across the United States but to repeal the real estate tax in favor of the uniform state sales tax? See, tax on an income basis or any tax, according to federal law, U.S. constitutional law, must be uniform and it must be equal, right? It's got to be fair. How is it that it is fair when a central appraisal district, oh, by the way, we have this on tape, our opinion is the clear and convincing evidence? That's what a central appraisal district registered professional appraiser is saying. Our opinion is the clear and convincing evidence. How exactly is that fair under any state law or under the U.S. Constitution? The answer is it isn't. But that one statement literally proves everything that we've been working on. It literally puts Ken Paxton's office in a box. You've got a CAD that's literally saying this, and we've got it on tape. Well, the pattern and practice is established across the United States. We've got people that reached out from the Palisades, Minnesota, Kansas, Michigan, Florida, you name it, they've reached out. The pattern and practice is irrefutably clear, and it comes down to the central appraisal districts that are committing the fraud on the property valuation and the overtaxation. But those CADs are owned by the school districts. It's those school districts that are committing accounting fraud and bond fraud. And it's a big enough problem that now we've got the document from the Attorney General's office that says, yeah, we're going after 1,000 communities.
Wow.
But I want to point out, that's 1,000 communities in Texas. Think of that for a second. How many communities are there in the United States? I believe it's about 3,700. So,
And if I can add, how many Canadians have reached out to you? Because you've also spoken that the same fraud is taking place in Canada.
there's no doubt, because in Canada, they have what's called C, with there's letter C in front of USPAP. The problem in Canada is that the attorney's board itself, the bar, is corrupt. They have gone out of their way to protect this problem from ever surfacing. But you can see the problem in that, do you realize how long it takes to get a lawsuit through the process in Canada? You're 10 years. There's simply no way, and this is one of the things I've told people that have reached out to me. I said, look, don't tackle this. If you don't understand what I understand, what we can articulate immediately, do not tackle this. You're going to get into a spider web you can't get out of. Because once you're in that system, those attorneys will actually work against you. There's a lot of corruption up there. And this is part of the problem. But if we break this loose in Texas or we break this loose in Florida, the other states will have no choice but to follow, because the truth is their citizens cannot pay off the fraud that has been committed over, that's at a minimum, just for sake of conversation. Let's go back to the year 2000. We found a document about 2 weeks ago from the California Policy Institute, and it was written in 2015. It went back to the year 2000, and even it called the bonds that they were raising, which are capital appreciation bonds, CAB, capital appreciation bonds. Well, it called those toxic. That was in 2015. That was over a 14-year study. So no matter how you look at it, this problem started to compound somewhere around the year 2000. Add the rule of 72 on top of the year 2015. It couldn't be paid off in 2015, and it's worse now because of the compound cumulative interest. That's the problem of all of this. And ergo, the Federal Reserve more than likely is going to have to get involved. That's what we're asking for. We're literally saying, state of Texas, You don't have any choice in the matter. You're going to have to sit down with the Federal Reserve and you're going to have to come up with a solution. I have ideas on the solution, but me talking with myself is kind of useless.
Do
So
you want to share that? Are you ready to share that, Mitch?
if you believe, and there's a price to be paid here. Now, you could say people should be in jail, but as we saw in 2008 and 2009, not very many people went to jail over what was clearly proven to be fraud, the mortgage-backed securities.
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen here, but I do know that across the United States, there should be about 200 people put in jail. I do know irrefutably that the Attorney General's office, who is the sole signator to ensure there's money to pay for these bonds, has a problem. I do know that the state auditor has a problem. I do know that the state comptroller has a problem. This is their job, is to oversee this. What they've done, in truth, even when Governor Abbott was the Attorney General back in 2001, is to kick this can down the road. Nobody has wanted to address it. So the compound cumulative effect in all that time, plus adding more bonds, which are raised almost on an annual basis, makes this totally impossible to pay off. These problems are real. So with regard to the solution at the Federal Reserve and the
Yeah.
states, there are things that can be done with regard to the school district bond fraud. Let's call it 5.1 trillion for the sake of conversation. It's more, but let's just leave it at that. It has a ceiling. It's quantifiable. The QSIPs exist. The problem is nobody's been able to tabulate the total amount of the QSIPs and tie it to an amortization schedule. That's why we reached out to the SEC. The SEC has subpoena power. They can walk into a school district and say, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, you got exactly 5 minutes, turn it over, or we're going to arrest you. The SEC has that type of power. Well, that's part of the solution. You've got to put that floor and that ceiling in place and say, there's our target. Our target is the property tax. It is the fraudulent bonds. And those school districts that produce these fraudulent bonds, will be forced into bankruptcy, even though, yes, it's a state level. And yes, we're talking bankruptcy on a federal level. However, when the bonds are raised, it's not a state issue. It's a federal
Right.
issue. That's the point of the SEC. So putting the feds and the state together and saying, gentlemen, we're all in a room. There is a solution to this, and it's going to be painful. But it's better to have it quantified than let it blow to shreds. Because when it blows, it'll take everything in its path with it. There won't be any stopping it.
Wow. Well, wait, one more thing before I move on to your incredible manifesto that scared me to shreds. When you say you could name 200 people, or not that you can personally name, but there's at least 200 people that would be facing jail time. Why would they choose to just ignore the situation? Is it, besides it being just too much to handle, they didn't feel like dealing with it? I mean, they must have known the legal repercussions. I mean, were their pockets being lined? What was the benefit to them specifically that would keep them on this track?
Look at who's getting the money. So part of what we have faced throughout this entire process are people say, well, such as Senator Betancourt here in Texas, who makes his living as a real estate tax consultant. He's part of the problem. He sits on the Texas Finance Committee. He's a senator here in Texas. He has no interest in solving this problem, nor does he particularly care that a chief appraiser goes to jail. So these people that are in these positions of alleged power are thinking one thing, being completely oblivious to the fact that in truth, they're part of the problem. See, we the people are the pawn in this issue. Who's getting the money? Well, who gets paid? Where's the problem? It's not the idea that the school districts created the bonds. It's that when you keep creating the bonds and you can't pay off the interest, there's the fraud. Who gets the money? The answer is the banks. So if you take a chart for the sake of conversation, there's two tracks of this, one of which is the school districts, but do you realize that the school districts are on the exact same track, the exact same parallel as the Federal Reserve? When the Federal Reserve prints money, and that money isn't backed by an asset, that is the exact same thing that the school districts did. They printed money using your asset to increase their money coming into their hidden investment pools. It's the exact same thing. Follow the money. So in the case of the Federal Reserve, and I charted this out a week or so ago, since 1913, when the Federal Reserve was created, we
Yep.
lost 97% of our purchasing
I
power.
saw
US
that.
dollar.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
That's
take that chart.
0.25 on your manifesto, by the way.
Yeah.
0.25.
Yeah. So you take
Yeah.
that chart showing that damage to the US dollar and realize,
Yeah.
okay, we've lost all this purchasing power, but who got the money? The banks. It's the cumulative compound interest that is literally causing all these problems. If the school districts operated on a cash basis, we wouldn't be having this discussion. If the Federal Reserve, and this started with George Bush when he walked out of the office and Obama picked up and ran with it. But when George Bush walked out of the office, there was about $1 trillion in U.S. national debt. Do you know that under President Obama and under Biden, that became 15.4 trillion between those two? Well, okay. So that's the U.S. national debt that has been transferred, placed on the back of every single taxpayer in the United States. But you have the exact same parallel in the houses. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah. So again, I urge everyone, read Mitch's list of what we know and what we're facing on his website. Okay. So to your point that the banks got the money, they're rich, they're jamming. Then we're not talking regional banks, right? We're not talking that level. Everyone. Then why are the banks carrying trillions of impaired credit, Mitch?
They are. The impaired credit is going to get paid off, right? You can't segment this away. This is mathematically impossible to pay off. Now, this is just the 5.1 trillion. Never mind. See, the 5.1 trillion is on top of the 38 trillion in U.S. national debt. And it's different than the unfunded liabilities. This is different
Yeah,
because this is a state-created issue versus a federally created issue. It's just coincidental that the Federal Reserve and the school districts are literally doing the exact same thing. They're playing a game of kabuki theater of transferring the liability from what they have done. They created the fraud. Nobody ever told the Federal Reserve, you've got to go and print money. If they had half a brain, they would have never done it. Well, look at it this way. Why do we have a Federal Reserve? Do you realize that I could take a 3-year-old girl, I could sit her down on the floor and I can give her a quarter. Heads, interest rates go up. Tails, interest rates go down. That 3-year-old girl would be more predictive as to what was happening than Jerome Powell or the entirety of the staff, 23,000 employees at the Federal Reserve. What do we need a Federal Reserve for? Well, they add complexity. What happens when you have complexity? You have dishonesty. You have
don't have
exactly what we
clarity.
have right now.
Right. And well, I bet Dr. Ron Paul would agree with you 1,000% there, Mitch. 0.5 of your manifesto, and this sums up everything. I mean, in terms of the mess I mean, can you call it a mess? I don't even know what we're up against here. 2026, 2028 refinancing failure cycle leading to liquidity drying up. You say creating the same circular argument that occurred during the Great Depression. The period was characterized by high rates of unemployment and poverty, drastic reduction in the industrial production, international trade, and widespread bank and business failures around the world. This sounds, I'm working on my Outlook series, and this sounds exactly like the world we're living in. Great Depression 2.0, Mitch?
I'm hopeful, no. But the reality is there's a high probability. And this is part of the problem. If the Federal Reserve steps up and says, we're going to print money, they're in a box.
Yeah.
They're going to create the Weimar Republic. And this is one of the things that you started this conversation with. Well, how do we get out of this? Well, if they print money on that 5.1 trillion without coming up with a true measure to peel back the institutionalized systemic moral hazard. So it's a hybrid. In order to fix this, you need a hybrid. You can't just go and print money. People have to pay for the crimes that they have committed. Well, the school districts, what they have to pay, They have to operate on a cash basis only and never be allowed access to the federal markets again. What else do they have to do? Those people, the school superintendents who committed the accounting fraud and subsequent bond fraud, they need to be put in jail. The chief appraisers who participated in aiding and abetting the criminal conspiracy to defraud need to go to jail. People have to go to jail because otherwise you're allowing this institutionalized systemic moral hazard to continue. This can't continue. And if it does, and if the government, the Federal Reserve, prints money, 5.1 trillion, turn it on, let's go, we'll fix it, we'll transfer it, we will put it on the back of the federal government. That's not a true statement. They didn't put it on the back of the federal government. They put it on the back of the taxpayers. See, this is a problem. We, the people, for lack of a better quote, are the pawns. They, in power, believe that they can transfer this liability, and you can't.
Yeah.
The money doesn't exist to transfer it to. It can't be paid off. So by transferring it, you're allowing this thing to fester, the compound cumulative interest to keep growing. You're not fixing a damn thing.
I think that's exactly what's gonna happen. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, Mitch, but I think that's exactly what they're gonna do.
Ergo, a Greater Depression. Ergo,
Okay.
War of 1776. You cannot
I
steal
mean,
money from people and think you're not going to be held liable.
well, you also talk about a potential currency reevaluation event. I mean, look, we just saw this week the BRICS announcing a gold-backed currency. The unit is what it's supposedly called. We'll learn more about it. They're piloting the project, but the point is, we're seeing gold play a bigger role more than ever. I mean, what do you think that's telling us, Mitch? I mean, central banks piling into gold. We see Tether buying more gold than certain central banks. I mean, what does this signal to you?
If you take a currency, regardless of what that currency is, and you back it by a commodity, it has a floor. Well, if you take M1 and M2, and I've run my math, and I know that Jim Rickards has run his.
Yes.
If you take M1 and M2 and just leave it at that, that would put gold at about 46,000 an ounce. If you start adding in these problems, such as the compound school district bond debt, plus the principal, which can't be paid, if you start adding that in, you could end up with the U.S. national debt, M1, M2, and maybe 127 trillion of these unfunded liabilities and say, we're going to value gold based on that. Now, if that occurs, that's 80,000 an ounce based on my math. So it doesn't mean I'm right. It just means this is an idea where it could go. But
And
look at silver, what silver's done in the last.
well, I was gonna say, any comments on silver? I mean, we're talking $60 silver today, Mitch.
62, but who's counting?
62. Okay, since this interview started. All right. I mean, can you believe it?
Well, on one hand, yes. I wish it wouldn't happen at the speed that it's happening, but in trading, where this was about 10 days ago, there should have been what's called 2 legs, 10 bars, sideways to down. That didn't occur. We got 1 day down, 1 day bear bar, and then it just took off, and it hasn't stopped. So unfortunately, if you buy today, you've got a commission on top, so you're higher than the market. Ideally, you would want a bit of a pullback. Eventually, we'll get a pullback. I just don't know from what starting point is it going to pull back.
Yeah.
The point is that if you look at what silver is doing, why is it doing that? Well, because people such as in India, where silver demand has taken off massively, because not everybody can afford gold. Platinum will be the next leg up. So there's all sorts of things in play here, but they're telling you this is the smart money. The smart money is in the commodities. They're in the gold, the silver. Even if you said, okay, fine, we'll take Bitcoin and we'll connect Bitcoin to corn. Okay, that's better than Bitcoin on its own. See, these coins, these stable coins, all this other nonsense, they're speculative until they're connected to an underlying asset, such as what Tether is doing with gold.
That's right. That's right.
Then you've got something to talk about. So if they can convert some of these other things, okay, debatable. But the point of the matter is, where would you rather be? because Bitcoin itself was created under the theory. It's not a theory, it was a fact. That it was created under a fact that it would be decentralized. Well, when the governments get involved with it, it's no longer decentralized. The governments have got their hands on it. So what is Bitcoin going to end up? I don't know. What I do know is until they connect it to a commodity, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. So that's the problem. Tether is, as far as I'm concerned, way advanced over and above Bitcoin. Where would you rather be? You want to have your money at risk in a bank, or would you rather be in precious metals where at least it's in your hands? Whatever that cash value is today, it's in your hands. You've got control. And that's why you're seeing silver rocket. That's purchasers of physical. That's not paper.
Love that. That's right. Okay. One last point I want to get in here. It's kind of out there, but I don't feel we speak enough about this. I'm going to combine number 13, 16 together. If you follow the list, you'll know what I'm talking about. You say Germany's in a depression. London and France are on the verge of civil war. Canada, so rich in natural resources, but is bankrupt. I'm going to tie this in to the farmer bankruptcy that you say may lead to shortage of food and riots that we're currently seeing in Europe, France, and the UK. Do you truly feel, Mitch, that the problems we're seeing in Europe, particularly the shortage of food, is going to happen here in the US and Canada?
The politicians can't say that they don't know about this. So there's a very smart lady who is a Secretary of Agriculture. Her name is Brooke Rollins. And Brooke was in the meeting at the White House a week ago with President Trump, talking about the cost of seed, the cost of fertilizer. And isn't it interesting that the farmers are saying that we used to have 47 companies to deal with, we now have 4 due to mergers and acquisitions, and that those 4 are squeezing the price, not based on what it's worth, but based on how much they can get out of the farmers, to the point that the farmers are losing between 150 and 350 an acre to farm. That's the definition of extortion. That's the definition of bankruptcy. So could we see this problem? I think we're seeing it now, but you got to take a step back. Under the theory, and let's make no mistake, Obama was a socialist. Obama's administration spun Biden. 15.4 trillion now on the backs of mom and pop. In the Biden administration, they allowed what they call progressives to say, well, we don't want cows fluctuating. Okay. That caused a shortage of beef. So what do we have here? Obama was a socialist. Biden was a stupid socialist. The process never changed. So what people should be focused on, and they should start asking their politicians to prove it up via contract. What do you stand for? Put it in writing. And if it's a socialist policy, you do not, under any circumstance, vote for them. Now, I understand that young people are looking at socialism as a solution. Young people don't have the education to know what they're talking about. And
that's hence Mom Dami's rise in New York, right?
Well, that's the point of this. That's exactly the point. Socialism has never, in the entire history of the planet, worked. Socialism ends up in death, destruction, chaos, and by kicking the can down the road with regard to all the financial data that we've been talking about, those are socialist policies. If you're a socialist, which by the way was created by a guy named Karl Marx, who happened to be a drunk. So his idea of fun was going to a bar and convincing people he was right and say, hey, pay me some more money and buy me a drink. Well, this is the nonsense that everybody has picked up on versus capitalism. So what we're really doing here is a fight to help people denote what is socialism versus what is capitalism. And people wouldn't have a roof over their head but for capitalism, but now the equity stripping, that's socialism. They have to reframe the argument to understand what's going on. And then that comes back to the issue of the Federal Reserve itself and the states getting together and say, we've got a problem. The only solution is a capitalist solution, and there will be pain. There has to be, because they've created institutionalized systemic moral hazard. That has got to come out of the system. You've got to eliminate the fraud, or we end up, unfortunately, in a greater depression. That would be the nicer part of this. The worst part, the War of 1776, taxation without representation.
I'm just curious how you would define the transition from Trudeau to Carney.
Idiot squared.
Mitch Wexler. Okay. I can't say it enough. Please go to Mitch's website and read What Do We Know and What We Are Facing. Yes, it's depressing, but it's important to be prepared, right, Mitch? And this is what it's all about. Know what you're facing, know what we're going up against, and just be prepared. If we could end it on a more positive note, what would you want the people at home knowing?
It's really important to realize what Ken Paxton did. And I said it wasn't personal. But the bottom line is that they've come out and said, okay, we see the problem. We now get it, which is great. They have to follow through, but they're going to have to speed this process up because we don't have the time to be jacking around with this. We're at the end game. I mean, this is just the reality. The interest clock is ticking by the nanosecond. The money doesn't exist. But the positive note of this is that it proves that people getting involved, mom and pop getting involved at their local level, makes all the difference in the world. They just can't sit there and do nothing anymore. The time doesn't exist. Get involved with your school districts, get them to produce the documents. If they don't, get a handful of people together, sue those who are culpable and responsible, joint and severally liable. You're going to have to get involved. But no politician wants to get sued, and no politician wants to see 400 people standing on the front yard. The point of the matter is you can't sit there and do nothing because it's your future and it's your children's future. And we've now proven the simple fact that the Attorney General's office has come out and said, yeah, we see this. We're going after 1,000 communities. Okay. It proves that the advocacy does work. It does prove that mom and pop have to get involved. That's the good news.
100%. Mitch Wexler, I thank you again on behalf of all of our viewers for all the work, the hard work you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling me up and allowing me to explain this to everybody.
Thank you, Kelly, for sharing that with us.
Yes, thank you.
So yes, this was about 3 weeks back, as you could tell by the silver prices. And did you hear gold? What was he talking about? 30,000 or 60,000?
An ounce.
So yeah, that's pretty.
That's a lot. Yeah, but then he was talking about the digital currency, right? The digital currency has to be linked to a commodity, right? Otherwise, don't touch it. So right now, it's not linked to anything.
I get up at 4:45 in the morning and I don't see a sign of the government anywhere. Every single day for 8.5 hours, I exchange my time for labor. I don't see the government anywhere, except for on Thursdays. Thursdays, I get my paycheck. That's when the government shows up. That's when they feel they are entitled to split half of the currency I made for trading my time, my skills, my labor. This goes on throughout the year, where I'm responsible to keep records of all of this. At the end of the year, it's my responsibility to prepare all that documentation for them to review it. They then determine if their cut was large enough. If I don't meet their schedule, I face fines, fees, or the threat of being locked up in one of their cells. I guess some people call this taxation, but it doesn't meet my definition. To me, that sounds a lot more like fraud, embezzlement, and fucking slavery. I think it's long past due that we all stop participating in this.
Muted.
1776. Oh,
Go ahead.
so just there are people working behind the scenes, people that have been working behind the scenes, right? So looks like, it seems scary, but there's things, people really working diligently, and we need to get involved, like you said.
This person mentions allodial title, but
You can get some stuff done if you throw some money in Ken Paxton's pockets. I'll tell you that.
No, I don't think he wants that pressure.
Yeah, I know Ken
Better do
Paxton.
something.
He allegedly took some money from somebody here, a donor, purchased a lot of land out here, right? To where they were bringing a bunch of illegals and selling them land and locking them into these mortgages or loans that they knew they weren't going to pay off on really shitty land that flooded, but they still built on it. But it was a donor to Ken Paxton, and that donor was one linked to the cartel,
Yeah.
allegedly. So that's the issue here locally with Ken Paxton, right? He's also going through a divorce, I believe. I think he's having issues at home.
this person mentions allodial title, but there's no context for it. It's funny because my dad always used to say about Minnesota property, it's allodial title. The bastards can't tax it. But we need to understand what allodial title is. There are two different types of title under which property real estate is held. One of them is feudal title, and the other one is allodial title. Under a feudal title system, the property that you occupy and that you manage is not ever truly yours. It's always subject to some higher authority or some superior power, like a king or some kind of government or a landlord. Property system that existed in Europe for centuries was a feudal title system. Tenants of that property worked the property and they were able to enjoy some of the fruits of the produce from that property, but it was always subject to leases, to rents, and to superior control by the landlord or the king, right? The United States set up a system of allodial title. Allodial title is a system under which there is no conditional ownership. The person who owns the property is the ultimate superior sovereign of that property. It is not subject to rents. It is not subject to leases. It is not subject to some outside control by a higher authority. Allodial title means full ownership with no superior claim on that property. Now, here's the problem with that idea. Even though the Minnesota Constitution provides for allodial title, the fact of the matter is it's a feudal system. And the reason is because there are three types of claims that government agencies can put on property. Number one is land use restriction. The government can tell you what you can do on your property and what you can't do on your property. The other claim to the property is eminent domain, where a government can step in and say, we're going to take your property for public use. Now, they have to give you compensation at fair market value if the government's going to take your property for public use. But the fact is, they can take your property for public use. And then the third one, and of course the most common one, everybody's favorite, is real estate taxes. Every single year, year in and year out, even after you've paid off the bank and even after you've covered every other expense for that property, local governments, county governments typically come in and assess the value of your property and say, okay, now you get to pay us X dollars of real estate taxes for the right to own that property. If you don't pay the real estate taxes, you lose title to your property. All right. So that's a feudal system, friends. It's not unconditional ownership. It's not absolute ownership. It's subject to the control of some higher power, in this case, a government entity. I actually testified before the Minnesota Senate on this very issue in the mid-1990s. The legislature of the state of Minnesota was talking about jacking up property taxes here and there. I appeared before the Minnesota Senate and I testified about Article 1, Section 15 of the Minnesota Constitution, which nobody reads, by the way. And if they do read it, they don't understand it. Here's what it says. All lands within the state are allodial, and feudal tenures of every description with all their incidences are prohibited, which is a beautiful sentence. It's a beautiful sentence. It prohibits eminent domain. It prohibits land use restrictions, and it most certainly prohibits real estate taxes. But of course, the leftists in the Minnesota legislature, that goes in one ear and out the other, and they didn't, they just had no impact on it. But the fact of the matter is, friends, you don't own your property as long as you are holding that property in what is called in modern U.S. law now fee simple ownership. So even though it's supposed to be an allodial system, in practice, it operates as a feudal system. And that's why the government is in their pocket year after year after year, even after they paid for their property.
Oh, Lord. There we go. Got that shared out. Red pillar. Got that shared out. Oh, this is help bring Michelle. Oh, this is for Mickey. Mickey, she's trying to get back to Louisiana. She wants to run for mayor
Yes, she
in
does.
Slidell Parish, or whichever city needs a mayor. If anyone's looking for a mayor, give Mickey a call. She'll be back in Louisiana. We're trying to get her some help to get there. I do not know when she is going to be making this trip. Michelle Mickey is one of those people who lights up every room she enters, even the chat, with her spunk, her charisma, and her big heart. Mickey has made friends everywhere she has gone. Now, after a lifetime of giving love to others, she needs our help with one simple, powerful wish to go home and run for mayor in Louisiana. Mickey Lampier is loved by everyone who knows her. She's the kind of woman who remembers your story. She asks about your family. It makes you laugh even on the hard days. Her spunk, her warmth, and her natural charisma have created little circles of love everywhere she has lived. But home for Mickey has always been Louisiana. Right now, Mickey is about 1,700 miles away from her home state. So she is retired, living on a fixed income, and facing the reality that getting home on her own simply isn't possible. So she is doing this journey alone, but she shouldn't have to feel alone in it. Mickey is a mother to one beloved son and a proud grandmother to two beautiful grandchildren. They miss her deeply and she misses them. She dreams of being close enough to hug them on ordinary days and to show up for the birthdays and school events and to spend the time together that you simply can't get back once it's gone. So her family, her roots, and her sense of home are all waiting for her in Louisiana. So this fund is to help Michelle, aka Mickey Lampier, get home. Your donation or your love will go toward the practical cost of getting her home from where she is now and back to Louisiana. Things like travel, moving her belongings, and any support that she needs to make the transition safely and comfortably, right? So every contribution, big or small, brings her one step closer to the people and place that she loves. So if Mickey has touched your life with her kindness, her humor, or just her presence, this is a chance to give something back. And if you've never met her, your generosity can help reunite a grandmother, a mother, and a much loved friend with a home that she has been longing to return to. Thank you for helping bring Mickey home to Louisiana to run for mayor. She's gonna be head mayor in the
Get
city.
Mickey home.
She's gonna be head mayor in the parish. Watch out, Louisiana.
So the links we've been posting in the chat, and then we're just gonna add it to the links here as well. And I'm gonna post the link also on both channels. And there's a song that goes.
And also, if you're wanting to get something in return for a donation, let us know as well. We can work something out.
That's right.
Alrighty.
There's a song that goes.
And we have a song for Mickey. She's been through a lot this year. She lost her love of her life, Miss Moo, right? So we're there for her. And she's been there for a lot of people going through losses as well, including ours.
Yes.
So salute to Mickey.
Love you.
Louisiana's in trouble. And Here's the song.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Hey, hey, He's got a suitcase by the doorway, the memories folded nice and neat. There's a map laid out on the table, from her heart down to that southern heat. She's been smiling through the distance, 1,700 miles long, but her soul keeps softly singing that old Louisiana song. Going home to Louisiana, where the warm breeze knows her name, to her son and her grandbaby, where the love still burns like flame. We're gonna help Miss Mickey get there. Every dollar is a mile undone. Going home to Louisiana till the road runs out and she's home. She's a firework in a small town sky, got that spark you can't ignore. Makes you feel just a little bit lighter when she walks in through the door. Now it's our turn just to lift her like she's always done for us. Turn our kindness into gasoline and a homebound hopeful dream. Going home to Louisiana, where the warm breeze knows her name, to her son and her grandbabies, where the love still burns like flame. We're gonna help Miss Mickey get there. Every dollar is a mile undone. Going home to Louisiana till the road runs out and she's home. Oh, yes, she has it. Yes, she has it. Home. Yes, she has it. Yes, she has it. Yes, she has it. Yes, she has it. Hey, from this place she's standing now to the bayou and the pines, every share and every blessing pulls her closer down that line. You can almost hear her laughing on a porch at the close of day. Lord, I finally made it home. Thank you for loving me this way. Yeah. Going home to Louisiana, where the warm breeze knows her name, to her son and her grandbabies, where the love still burns like flame. We're gonna help Miss Mickey get there. Watch the miles fall one by one. Going home to Louisiana, so she smiles and says, I'm home, I'm home. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome song, right?
Awesome.
Awesome sauce. We love you, Mickey.
Yes, we do.
Also, don't forget the drawing for the um right here. Let me pull this up. Wait, let me read this. The raffle. Right, don't forget the raffle. Let me pull this over here. It's the first raffle to win a handmade crocheted lacy rippled Afghan, right?
Right.
Let me pull it. Let me put this up on the screen real quick for everyone to see. This is also taking place. This drawing will be going down
January 6th.
January 6th. There you go. All proceeds will be distributed to the following: 25% to Mike Penny's family, 25% to the War Room Sheepdogs, 50% Stitches of Love for Ashley. So tickets are $10. Donations also accepted. Raffle will run for 2 weeks. Drawing will take place during the War Room morning chat, and the date will be announced, which we just said, right? Unless that changes, we'll let you know. Ashley's story. Ashley was in perfect health. Oh, hold on. Ashley was in perfect health the first 14 years of her life. On Father's Day in 2008, she took a swim in Chesapeake Bay, and her life changed forever. Ashley acquired 2 rare autoimmune diseases that day and has been suffering for 17 years. Her portion of proceeds will go to medical needs. So all the time and materials donated by Ashley's Aunt Brenda, West Virginia, retired prison guard. Ashley is boots on the ground's daughter. So you can purchase the raffle tickets through Zelly at 301-456-5178 and Pauline Johnson, or PayPal Pauline Johnson at Boots OTG. Then you have the email. TOWLAD, Tow Ladies for America at Gmail. And then you had the Venmo at Pauline Johnson and Cash App at Pauline J, capital J, $J. So the winner should DM Boots OTG on Telegram to provide free shipping information. You can call or text at 301-456-5178. Thank you so much. Do we got this link shared out everywhere?
Yeah, I just post that and then we post the links for the raffle.
Also, if you need something in return for a donation or anything like that, let us know and we'll
Send me a DM, please.
Yeah, we'll help donate to help raise money to get her home. Me and the sheepdogs, okay? And I'm sure other people will do the same. So just let us know. Alrighty. Well, I hope everyone we'll do this tomorrow morning. Are we doing a chat in the morning now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll be up bright and early in the morning. We'll do another chat. We'll talk more about this fundraiser for Mickey and the drawings and everything else we got coming up into this so-called New Year, right?
The fake New Year's Eve.
Right.
But we won't have a show tomorrow night in case might have plans with their family. Or
Yeah, no. So tomorrow night I'm gonna have my Kevlar helmet on.
But we will have one Thursday night.
And don't forget about the few beers a day and supporting that cause. And that is it.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Love y'all.
Love and light.
Yeah, ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah. Lay your ear to the ground. Hear your mother breathe. She's been singing this song since the first heartbeat. Ooh, she's calling you home.
Feel the rhythm of the roots running under your feet. Every mountain, every river got a truth so deep.
Hey, this is mother's song where the wild runs free and the heart belongs.
Red clay dust on my worn out jeans. Sky so wide it could swallow your dreams. Granddad said, boy, don't forget the slang. It raised you up long before you could stand. Baseline thumping like a deer in the brush. Wind talking low like a midnight hush. City lights fade, but the truth don't change. Mother Earth speaks in a simple range.
Ooh, she don't shout, she whispers slow, but her voice is the oldest one you'll ever know. Lay your ear to the ground. Hear your mother breathe. She's been singing this song since the first heartbeat. Feel the rhythm of the roots running under your feet. Every mountain, every river got a truth so deep. Hey, this is mother's song where the wild runs free and the heart belongs. Oh,
Barefoot walking through the tall grass way. Sun kissing skin in a golden way. Mama said, girl, don't forget your place. It's right here, child, in the earth's embrace. Got that hip-hop snap with a countryside soul. Bassline booming like a thunder roll. Nature ain't quiet, she's a whole hard drum. Beat so deep you can't help but hum.
she's the water, she's the fire, she's the breath in your chest.
She's a cradle, she's a keeper, she's a place you rest.
Mother's song.